Hey, this is me too, Laura Marie, and I am back here. I just want to thank every single one of you guys who have stuck it with me for the past couple of months. I have been missing action. However, I have been still in the community, observing the community, and just seeking out, looking out for things that are pressed on my heart, pressed on my spirit, of a need for those of us survival excuse me, those of us survivors who are in need, and those who actually have overcome and thriving. So I just been looking at that. I've been looking at a few things. So I'm really excited to end this last part of the year together with you. I am so sorry, guys. That is the fireworks. They are going. But I want to go ahead and get this out to you guys because I just really want you guys to see this commentary. I will be speaking over a video that Kevin Samuel have made. It's one in his very beginning of his YouTube, career or YouTube, life. I chose this because he speaks about himself as a child, as a kid, in high school, as a young adult in college, and then as a young adult and into manhood. So I think it really gives a really good depiction on what narcissist, how that unfolds from a childhood to an adult. Now, he's not acclaimed. He hasn't been diagnosed. At least he hasn't told us that he'd been diagnosed with narcissism. But there are so many traits. There are so many descriptions how he handles himself in the community towards others as well, that I believe that it is need to be well noted. And also those who are going through this, sometimes seeing something from the outside looking in gives us a little bit clarity on the direction that we should make, the directions in which we should go. He also is explicit in his speaking, but I wanted to make sure that I record a long piece of information of what he says so that you'll really get the perspective from him and not he say or she say or just clips, so but really get a full understanding of what this looks like. So after this, I'll be back, okay? And let me know what you guys think down there in the comments, okay? Let me know where when I say what you guys think, what you think as far as if you've identified any of those 9 characteristics. What would you do in certain situations? If anything, a light bulb came on, what is that? Things that propel us forward, solution-based responses, okay? Things that also encourage other people who might be going through these type of experiences as well, okay? So I look forward to seeing you at the end. Bye.
Like this. Streams like this where I get to be myself and you get to learn more about me. So, this stream is going to be a lot different, So, if you read the title, it says, How to Get the Woman You Want. Join the C.I.A. C.I.A. What does C.I.A. mean? C.I.A. is a term, this little acronym I use.
Okay.
Confident, intelligent, arrogant. Or you can just say cocky, infuriating asshole.
So that's going to be the direction that he'll be going in as it relates to his content. All right. Now that description goes hand in hand in the DSM-5 description of a narcissist. Now this is just one of a 9 that they list here, but grandiose sense of self-importance is actually most of the time listed as the first description of a narcissist. In my opinion, Kevin Samuels have a more of a overt personality and way of doing things as opposed to covert and under the cover. He's very out there, direct, as he'll mention. Now, this isn't the only video that you'll see the arrogance and cockiness. You will definitely see that over a multitude of videos. So on over a span of time. I think his videos started somewhere in 2014 to 2015-ish. This particular video is in 2017. Up to current is a good span of at least 5 years, the minimal of a consistent sense of grandiose and self-importance that he displays and encourage men to inhabit that type of mentality. Now, it is very important for us to have self-importance. There's nothing wrong with that. It's very important. It's self worth. However, with a grandiose sense, that means it is above and beyond to where it becomes unhealthy, where we look down on others, because we see ourselves so high that others become so low. And therefore we act towards them in such a arrogant and a cocky way as to looking down on people that just do not meet up to one's expectations. So I just want to bring this out, point this out here. Moving on.
So let me just throw out some disclaimers and stuff while we start getting people into the channel. Understand something clear. I am not MGTOW. I'm just a man.
Okay.
However, I have taken the red pill.
All right.
With that being said, I love women. I love women. I love beautiful women. Yeah. We're going to talk about women tonight.
Okay, here he says he loves women. Now, if anyone have heard about or viewed his videos over a duration of time, you probably would have heard that there is this rumor out that he's gay, that because of his, if I understand these things right, because of his fashion, how he carries himself, how he interacts with women as like catty and things like that. And I do believe that because of his predominant influence of women as a child and growing up were women, that there are feminine contributions that have been made that he has adopted, because of the certain, his environment and the lack thereof of a masculine influence to kind of exemplify certain things, that the way men do things, so I definitely can see that. But overall, I don't think that he's gay. That's my position. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I do see that the way he carries himself is a little bit, as far as I'm going to keep my preferences out of the box here, but the way he carries himself with the fashion, I see many types of men who are very fashionable, like he mentions Italian, Russians. I can see they're very fashionable, but at the same time have a masculinity about them that does not have a way about them that does not compromise their masculinity. Now with Kevin Samuels, at the same time, I'm going to point out some areas that makes him appear very feminine. Okay, very feminine beyond the physical appearance, as far as, his fashion, crossing of legs and things like that. Even crossing of legs, men do that and still masculine as well. So that exterior part, I'm not too moved by that. It's more of the interior and how his mentality that is very feminine. Even though he claims that he reprogrammed himself, there is still some programming in which I'm going to bring out with you guys of him taking a feminine position. All right. And pretty much relinquishing his masculinity over to women. All right. And him adopting that feminine position. Okay. Even today. So that's that. And moving on.
We're going to talk about my experiences with women.
Excuse me.
what experiences that I know have made me successful with women, and some of the misconceptions I had about women that got me twisted up. And when I got rid of them, I start just, man, I'm not going to edit that much. I'm not going to cuss a lot. But I started getting laid like left and right.
Oh, okay.
So let's start off with the stuff that I was taught as a young boy. I was raised in a single parent household. My mom had two sisters. They didn't have any kids, so I had three women around me all the time. My grandfather, he was a truck driver, so he was around sometime. Then my uncle, he was the man in my life. So my grandfather was a deacon in the church, and my uncle was a Mac. A Mac is a dude that has lots of women, but he's not a pimp. He don't got any women on the stroll. Both got game. Mm-hmm. My father was a straight up player. Papa was a Rolling Stone. 13 of us I think. So I used him as the blueprint of everything not to be in a dude. My mom never talked bad about him, but needless to say, I didn't have the best opinion of the dude. Mm-hmm. Handsome dude. Me and my father are probably look more alike than any of his other kids. That's probably one of the reasons we have such issues we have. We're probably so much alike. Mm. So anyway, that being said, I was raised by a
That's where you got your good looks and charms from, hey?
bunch of women. I was raised, Baptist. So I was pretty much raised to be a simp. I was a cute little boy. I was a spoiled kid. Even though we was broke, I was spoiled for broke. Mm-hmm. So as I started to grow up, the only time I interacted with boys was in high school. I mean, at school, and that was only in class time. I had my cousins and stuff around. So this is not probably unlike a lot of you guys. And I'm going to answer some questions later. But if you really want to get your questions answered, throw them up on Super Chat. All right. So when you grow up with all those women around you, you get raised with feminine ideals.
Exactly. That's very true.
And this is the time in the 70s when you're hearing all this, I am woman, hear me roar, and I am strong, I will survive, and all this other kind of stuff. In the 70s, women taught their sons, be nice to women, respectful, all that other kind of stuff. And then they turn around and taught their daughters, go out and, get your education, get your degree, take care of yourself, don't rely on no men. So you end up with a whole generation of, soft men and hard women. So I get around, my first crush, that's another story for another time. But the first time I really liked,
he's telling the truth here as far as the single woman household, and therefore the raising of the children are based on 50% of a union. It comes only from the female version. So the impartation to a son and a daughter is only coming from the viewpoint and the experience of a woman. All right. And therefore, if a woman is single and having to do it on her own, for the most part, then she's going to pour into the children in that, as far as from that position, But because of the single parent and their experience as single, it is more common to be self-sufficient. That became more and more prevalent, as he had mentioned, as time went on in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and here we are. Because of the lack of the male figure, the male in the home, it resulted in that being a drive for the ladies because of the position that the single mother or the single parent is in. Okay, unfortunately, but that's where it is.
I like the chick. I'm gonna just call her Car. I like this chick, and like most simps, when I liked the chick, I did the simp stuff. I immediately start paying a lot of attention to her, telling her all the stuff I like, fawning after, running behind her. Young boy stuff. I was in like the 6th, 7th grade. Long and short of it, every chick that I ever liked, I automatically start simping for. Now, here's the thing. I have girls that like me, but, you know, I could, you know, man up for them because I wasn't interested. But as soon as my feelings started getting involved, it was almost like I became a woman. So let me fast forward. What happened with Car?
Okay.
Car ended up, she was my girlfriend, checked the box, and you'd be like, yes and no. We're like in 8th grade by this time. You know, and like most simps, she got tired of me like that. So she broke up, broke my little heart, shattered me, destroyed me. No men around, didn't know what to do. No one really to talk to. Somebody talked about this stuff in the 80s. So, luckily, testosterone kicked in. And then this chick I was calling left and right. This is back when you call people and you know, you get a busy signal. You know, the stuff we used to have to do on the phone. You get the busy signal, call back. There was no caller ID. You know, man, it was crazy.
It was.
So anyway, after my testosterone kicked in, I got pissed off at this chick. I was like, I got to a point where I got over her.
Okay.
Well, I ran into her the next year in 10th grade. 10th grade. Ran into her in 10th grade. She remembered the simp version of me. I grew 9 inches over the summer. So I went from being 5 feet tall, roughly in 8th grade, to 5'9" in 3 months.
Okay.
9 inches over the summer. Incredible. So all of a sudden I'm Big Willie. So all of a sudden these chicks that chick that I used to like, who I simped out for, all of a sudden she was throwing herself at me. But I didn't care no more. So she called me and I wouldn't answer the phone, or I'd talk to her and I'd just blow her off. I learned something right here. This is almost like a laboratory experiment because I'm a strategic-minded person, technical-minded person.
Okay.
I start putting this stuff through scientific process.
All right.
If nice got me bad behavior, bad seemed to get me good behavior. So I started being more bad. Here's what I learned. The worse I treated women, the more they liked me. Now let me make the caveat. It was called worse. What it really was is I was treating women like a man treats a woman. That's what I was doing. I wasn't being a simp. I was standing up. I was saying what I wanted. Was not making any qualifying statements. You know, not beating around the bush. It was my way or the highway. You lucky to be around me. This is what I want out of the world. Next thing you know, she became everything I ever wanted her to be in a girlfriend. After I started being a jerk to her, a cocky, intelligent, and arrogant. That's what I was told. It was cocky, intelligent, arrogant. So I got the...
One thing that he really drove home and that I want us to highlight here is that he mentioned that he did not have any male influence to show him the way as far as how to handle the rejection that he got with the young lady Carr. Okay, he did not have that. And what he did have was his own, having to fend for himself, having to figure this thing out on his own as a kid that is in junior high, going into high school. That is one of the major elements that brings error to his analysis, or error to the sum of what he has calculated here. He did not have all the angles. He did not have all the components to make a decision on how to handle, what to think, how to deal, how to process this traumatic experience that he's had. All right. So he's basing all of this on his own interpretation because he's having to handle this on his own. And then also the input or how he's being dealt with his mother and his aunties. Okay. So with his mother and his aunties, let's bring this out as well. He said that he was spoiled by not only one woman, but multiple women. So he's gotten his ways over multiple years, conditioned to have his way. And this time that he has put his heart on the table, gift wrapped to a woman that he really have feelings for, and you mean to tell me that you're going to smash it? smash my heart so I'm not getting what I want. Okay, and he's so hurt, he's so traumatized by this. Unfortunately, see, this is showing you the beginning of the end. Okay, and this is how, when they say, how do narcissists, or anyone for that matter, who develop defense mechanisms, this is where it all begins. How these traumatic situations, how these hard, difficult hurts and pains are processed and handled. And that's why we as parents, it is very important to make sure that we are sensitive and attentive to these parts and times in the children's life as they grow up, to help guide them mentally and emotionally through this. Now, we can't take the fall for every decision a child makes, but we must give them the options and share with them the different ways that they can handle these experiences. All right. Him not having his father or a father figure, that is because he had the truck driver, which was his grandfather, who was also the deacon. He was not there present in the home, as often. I mean, it was his grandfather. I don't know if he really took that responsibility with Kevin Samuels. But he had the uncle who was the Mac daddy. And then he had his father, who was a Rolling Stone. So he did not have the other part of the puzzle that could have, even though he had the woman there, because we know that women are going to conduct themselves as women, but he didn't have the man counterpart to be able to show him the way in this. And the men that he did have influence that would influence him was the Mac Daddy. The Mac Daddy is what Kevin Samuel was able to pull from. His father being a Rolling Stone was what Kevin Samuel had to pull from. He's having to put these puzzle pieces together in order to survive this experience. And this is what he's come to. Moving on.
These battling things going on inside me. So here's what ends up happening. We go on a band trip. I smash. I still don't want to deal with her. I smash her, and I'm like, okay, well, I put this chick up on the pedestal, right? Mm-hmm. And she didn't want to have nothing to do with me. When I start treating her bad, like I was told was bad, mm-hmm. Put a caveat there. All of a sudden, she wanted to get with me. I smashed. And then, but here's what happened. After I smashed, guess what? She smashed the dude I was rooming with. Mm. So I saw right there, full force, female nature. I'm like, I put you up on a pedestal, treated you like a queen and a goddess or whatever. Here's how you treated me. I treat you like badly. You falling all over me, telling me everything I want, let me smash. Then you let this dude smash. Right then I learned, women, what I was taught was wrong. What I was taught was wrong. Women do not want nice guys.
All right. I'm going to interject at this point. I think he brought up a good point again. One thing that he oftentimes mentioned with these women who become pregnant or in difficult situations with having to raise their children and the father's not home in the home, he says, but that's your choice. That was your choice. That was your choice. And so because it's your choice to get pregnant, that's your responsibility. No, it's both of their choices. But I'm saying that because here Kevin Samuel just explained a situation. He just explained where, again, error in his choosing. He selected a woman that he already knew. He already knew when he treated her respectfully, like a queen, goddess, whatever he had said, nicely expressed himself and, just chivalrous and all that. She didn't take that she didn't respect that. She didn't regard that. She didn't cherish that in him. No, it's not until he began to be cocky and arrogant and he showed that side of himself that she, flipped the script and now is willing to engage in some sort of relationship with Kevin. And then from there, and this is who he chose. This is who his feelings he fell for, because he mentioned that there were other ladies
that there were others. Okay, but this is who he put his heart on the table, and then she just crushed. So I'm not going to count that too much against Kevin, really, because he's a kid. He's a kid, and he doesn't know how to manage emotionally what he was going through. But my concern is when you're dealing with young ladies, some are older, but some still having the mentality, not as developed, going through the same things that you had the opportunity to get through. That's who you wanted, regardless of what you've seen. It's your selection. You could have went after a different young lady who was able to cherish, respect the way you treated her. And so now, going forth, we have this decades later where your whole mentality has flipped upside down, and you're operating out of the pain, hurt, and rejection, the humiliation from this lady that you put your heart on the table. When you, on the other hand, if it was anyone else, you would have gotten spoiled. But you chose someone because you wanted the challenge, and that challenge was too much for you. And so now you have to challenge every other woman. You're the challenge for every other woman. That's what you put yourself in that position so that you won't be hurt again. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. And it's just a shame, because women are to blame, because you're putting women to blame. I mean, it goes further back as to who to blame. Again, I believe that it is our people were put in a position to be divided so that we can be conquered, and the gender roles are switched. But it is not because we wanted that. That is what, when we came over to America, that was the tactic to keep us as you're just explaining today and what your message is pushing. But I don't believe it is the woman's fault. I don't believe it's the man's fault. Okay? As far as black men and women, it is something that was a tactic that was obviously pretty successful, to keep our people divided. We're blaming one another. But yes, you're absolutely right. Women are single women. The boys are being taught from a female perspective and being feminized. And that is, in my opinion, that is calculated. That is calculated not because we wanted it, but because in order to keep a people down for the purpose of a wealthy country, and there needs to be labor and hard labor, we at that time and moving forward, we are the ones that they designated to do it. So to keep our minds confined, to keep us confined and restricted, to break down the family unit. And so when the male was taken out of the home, there's the female that's there, that's now taking a masculine role. And so now then the female and the males are taking a feminine role, running out, allowing the women to chase them, or wanting the women to chase them, and just so much more. We're going to bring this out here. I didn't mean to go into all of that, but here we go.
What we've been taught is nice. Women want strong, secure, assertive men who know what they want.
Absolutely. Men want strong, assertive, secure men who knows what they want. You are absolutely right. And let me go as far as saying that if you were to have stopped there, you would not be here doing as much damage that you're doing to the women today. If you'd stop there. But when you add your arrogance and cocky, your mentality towards women, okay, and the anger and the rejection and the hurt and the pain and the lack of a male influence and the disproportionate feminine influence that you have in your life, that creates a monster within itself. And this is the monster that we're meeting today, that we've met this year. Okay, that is what's going on. So when you say assertive, strong, know what they want, secure, yes, absolutely. But women do not want cocky and arrogant. Healthy, whole women do not want cocky, arrogant, disrespectful, degrading man. They don't want that.
We have been told all our lives that this stuff is bad, and it's not. And you see even our young boys in school.
Tell me when you need to prove that, where what's bad is when you're assertive, know what you want, direct, secure, and communicate that assertively. Where that it is not preferably by women. That is so false. Now, if you know women, and if you've been using that tactic, that specific tactic with women that are whole, you'll get a completely different result. So you selected a woman who was playing the same game as you. Okay? That you selected a woman that was playing a game that you wasn't ready for. That you didn't know nothing about. Okay? So that's who you fell for. But if you selected a woman, and again, I believe that it could be either just guys being guys, kids being kids, and you just won that bad girl or you won that bad boy. You know what I'm saying? But with your combination of getting all you want and your spoiled mentality, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm going after. I can't have her. That's a challenge. I'm going to get her. You switched up your game. You became this masculine, cocky, intelligent, arrogant guy, and you got your girl. Okay, that's who you chased after. But if you use that assertive, secure, know who you want with a woman that respects that and cherish that and be patient, you eventually would have gotten the results you desired. But it's what you selected. And that one individual, that one woman, does not speak for all women. And that's another error in your evaluation. You're saying women, but you pivoted your whole entire mind, your whole entire lifestyle based on one experience with one woman. And you're painting the entire fence with one brush. One dip in the paint bucket and one brush. No, it's not gonna make it. It's not enough paint. Because that does not color all women. That's just the women you selected. And that you continue to select now because of your disposition. So from that point on, your selection of women are custom to your mentality now. The way you view women and handle it. So you select certain women that fit that role. And we'll see, you guys will see the type of women that Kevin Samuel select as we continue to go through this. So right here, we're already seeing Kevin Samuel's view of himself, his view of the world, his view of women and men, and view of relationships. And it's not very high. It's not very high. So already he has a low, even today when I listen to him, there's just a low value that he has for himself. Now he may make money, but he has a low internal perspective of himself. So you can just see how he handles himself, which, anyway, I'll express that later on, but yeah, moving on.
On Ritalin and all these other kind of drugs to really tamp down male behavior. I'm not going to go too far off into that, but I would just say this. You know, I recorded a video today that I'm still wondering if I need to put it out on YouTube, because talking about men stuff can get you in a lot of trouble, but we ain't worried about that now. I'm talking to the guys who want to learn how to get the women you want. First thing you need to do is understand everything you've ever been taught is wrong. Women like jerks. What they're called jerks. Donald Trump is our president. You can like him or dislike him, whatever you. But
no, women don't like jerks. Well, let me say it like this. Jerk women like jerk men. Men jerks like women jerks. Okay, so, he is partially right. Women jerks like men jerks. All right. So like I was saying with my what I said prior to this when I stopped, is that women, if you're choosing these particular women who don't care and cherish when you're respecting them as a man, then that's a whole breed of women in itself. And if that's what you're flocking to and you're challenged by that, then that's what you'll get. And that's what you have to lower your standards to. That's what happened there. You lowered your standards to that crush that did not raise her standards when she was presented with who you were initially. Okay, she didn't raise her standard to receive a man that was kind, polite, put his heart out there. She didn't respect that. Now, I want to also for her, a part of her, just because someone puts their heart and respectful doesn't mean that you're going to fall for them or that you're going to like them. There has to be there's usually some, people like who they like. But all I'm saying is that after she came to you, after you were a man or quote unquote a man and masculine in the cocky and arrogant way, that should have been a red flag for you right there. But for you, it was you getting what you wanted. That was your challenge. And you switched up the game so you can get what you couldn't get before. So, let's see.
A significant portion of the country voted for me, and a lot of women. Women like that kind of behavior.
So women do not like the kind of behavior at all. Women have become adjusted to that, have had to adjust themselves to that type of behavior as well. Okay, just like you just adjusted to the trauma that you experienced. Well, women also had to adjust to that, to men being disrespectful. Okay, they've adjusted to being talked down to, degraded. So it's not that they like that, it's that that's what they've grown accustomed to and began to function in the dysfunction. They become tolerant of that because that's what they tolerate when they see in their own families. But the children also have to tolerate the absence of the father, having to reconstruct their mind of not having a mom and dad in the same home, even if the dad never been there. Just the whole idea of that, knowing in the inside internally that there is more than this. Okay, so no, that is not what they like. That's what they have tolerated because of what they've experienced and what they have formed a tolerance to out of their dysfunction. They began to function inside of dysfunction. And that's exactly what it is that you're experiencing, that you're saying that women like. No, they've only had to adjust. And this is them adjusting to it. Families became more broken up. And so there's a lot of abuse and just so many drugs and all these type of things. So this is what they seen then. The pimps and all of that came out. The drug dealing, all of that. And all of that. So this is what they had to draw from. So now you're saying that women like that. No, that's just the way women began to live, just like men began to survive. That's how women had to survive. There's a song from Megan Thee Stallion. She has I think last year came out called BITC Bleep. Okay, and I'm only saying this to bring out something here. This is a recent song from her, and she says, BITC bleep, because that's what you're going to call me when I'm tripping anyway. Now, I thought that was so interesting. And that whole song, I'm not necessarily encouraging to, just be blasting that song. But I see a lot of where our women have come from and why they are here, the way, how we got to where we've gotten. She has a few lyrics in that song that really stood out and really touched my heart, believe it or not, because it's explaining why she's saying, I'm going to, you can call me that. Because of throughout the years, what the responsibility that we've had to have as taking a masculine role, and then fending for ourselves, and having to not depend on a father or a man. And I'm not, again, I say it's not necessarily a blame. This here is all stemming from slavery, all stemming from the individuality of the American country, but again, it's to divide and conquer, so when I say that song about Megan Thee Stallion, the BITC bleep, because you're going to call me that when I'm tripping anyway, she's embracing that. She's not embracing that she's a female dog, but embracing the boss. I don't agree with being called that, but that's the position, the male position that many women are put in because of the lack of the man in the household. They're having to go out and go to school and go get an education so that they can be the providers of their home, because there are so many men that are not staying. But at the same time, men are, because of how that slavery and how things went and how they divided the family, humiliated, and they were the ones who emasculated the men, drawing them from their home, giving them just programming from our very beginning here in America, okay, to remain out of the home, take a feminine role. That's where it came from. It wasn't us on each other. It's what they injected, and took from us, and then imparted the individualism, the breakdown in family, the tearing of the man and woman apart, the woman now caring for the child, and it's only a part, they only a part as far as the child being able to be raised in a whole family. Now today, if people are born today, even of Caucasian, descent and everything, they may not take that same mind frame as it was 100 years back as far as slavery. But because it started and it was so strong and it's continued, it's like a well-oiled machine. It just continues to go. And it's very hard to stop that unless we stop it. We have to stop it. And Kevin Samuels, you're being like a triangulation and a flying monkey. More like you're triangulating the situation. And you're not being used for us, but you're allowing yourself to be used against us, and in turn against yourself. And I struggle with making this video because I definitely didn't want, to put Kevin is a brother, and I'm a sister, but there comes a point in time where those who have suffered in narcissistic abusive relationships, number one, needs to see what this looks like. And then, as I said, that America suffers from narcissism. America, I said that there is an undercurrent of narcissism in the American way, of individualism, of superiority, okay, of wealth, and having like one up on different countries, and exploitation. There's just so many ways of America, and I pray for America. This is where I live, but I do believe that we as a family, we as a people, it starts with us, men and women, coming together rightly coming together, rebuilding and reestablishing our family with dignity. But this is not dignity. And Kevin Samuel saying that he's trying to help the people. There are so many videos out there. If you're trying to help our people, then why strong arm our women in public for the whole world to see? That's inhumane. If anyone needs someone that wants to look at someone on YouTube, because everybody's on YouTube looking at things, then go to Kevin Gaskin. Tony Gaskin is very ideal to follow and to actually invest your time in, because he's able to communicate what needs to be communicated. Not what you want to hear, but what needs to be communicated effectively, productively, with precision, in order to give you transformational results without having to sacrifice your dignity, without having to sacrifice or to humiliate you. Okay, and again, it's not, when he communicates these things, it's not to humiliate you. That is not the means. He's not strong arming you. His foundation is Christ. So in Christ, he's able to speak practical information. So I do think that Kevin Samuel can motivate and is able to inspire people to go so far. But at the same time, as he motivates people, he's also tearing people down. So you may be able to give an answer, and it's temporary. And I say that because these are external solutions that Kevin Samuel have, because this is what you're trying to get something. You're trying to attain a marriage. But as far as wholeness within yourself, that's an internal situation. He's not addressing internal wholeness, okay? In which you're just putting a Band-Aid over a sore, over a wound. And you won't go far with that because it's not fully healed. So you're giving temporary solutions. And so, yeah, we can get better for this guy, because we can lose the weight or change our communications for a guy. You know what I'm saying? But we're just changing it for this guy, but not for ourselves. And that's the way Kevin is speaking. It's for someone else that's outside of them, but not for them alone. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. What Kevin Samuel speaking is, love your neighbor to love yourself. But you can't love your neighbor if you don't know what love is. And the only way to know what love is Jesus Christ, because it says first commandment is love your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. That's how you're going to know how to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So moving forward,
if you were born after 1970, that is hard to accept, because we were raised in a generation of equal rights. But you gotta learn it. But at least for me and a lot of other guys, we got a chance to do some in-field experiments on this stuff. So when I went to high school, when I went to college, I just let it all hang out. You know, I had a girlfriend in high school who I turned around and simped for. So you was either simping or pimping. It was either one or the other. I went to college, and man, I was the biggest hoe on campus. Okay. They used to call me Hoven. Hoven. Why? Because he had all the hoes. Chicks that I would smash, and I was a dog. I mean, I was a player. I would tell her, look here, I'm not into no relationship. I ain't looking for no girlfriend. I just want to have some fun. You know, if you're ready to do that, cool. If not, you know, you need to go ahead and bounce.
Okay, so he's showing us the type of women that he deal with, and I think that this is where it really shows here. See, Kevin Samuels is speaking to a specific audience. He is for the streets. Okay, he is clearly explaining that he's Hoven, so a Hoven will get Hovettes. All right, not value women. These women of value, trying to change their lives, trying to get answers on how to improve themselves to, you know, eventually get married. They're wanting to turn a new leaf, or already, you know, in the right place, but needing a little bit more guidance. You're not a Hovette, ladies. You're not a Hovette, but you're calling a Hoven for a woman of worth. You're in the wrong lane. You're running the wrong race. He is for the streets. You're not for the streets. His advice is based on men who has the cocky, arrogant, for the streets women. He just said, hey, this is the women that I go after. This is the woman I tell a woman from the jump skate, and these women will oblige or they will, walk away. All right. So the women who walk away are the women who not down with that. So he's telling you his experience based on for the streets type of guy, being a hoven. Okay. So now when he speaks to us, he's speaking from that place that he's for the streets. And if you want a man that's for the streets, of high earner who's for the streets, then this is what you need to expect. This is what you need to do. He's speaking from a worldly perspective. Okay. And quite naturally, that's why I say at the same time, he's right. Because if you're for the streets and you get for the streets women, then that's your results. That's right. But these women who are calling aren't for the streets for the most part. So why are you calling a man that's for the streets? Why? Why? He's a high earner man that's for the streets. Why? So you're going to get advice from him. All he can offer is this. If you want something temporary, you're not priority, you're going to get talked down to, I'll fit you where I can get you, then okay. But you calling for something more than that. What are you on the phone with this man for? It's the wrong person. The wrong person.
Here's what ended up happening. They'd want to come over to my room for tutoring.
Listen
so
to this.
I tutor them. I tutored the hell out of them. Then what would happen? They would go back and tell their friends. He put it down. Guess what? Their friends would want to come by too. Yes, women.
And you know what? Because we're broken, we're not whole. That's why we make these kinds of choices. And because he knows what he told you, which was partially true. He knows what women like as far as assertiveness, confidence, knowing what a man wants. He knows that attracts women, and yes, it does. But he adds his tainted, warped, distorted heart and mind to the equation. So of rejection, hurt, and pain. And so he distorts that. But he uses the confidence, assertive, knowing what he wants, being that part to will a woman in, but then abuses them because of his broken heart. Not only broken heart for women, this woman from junior high, but his broken heart in life as a child when his heart was broken by his father. Okay, and other things that went in his life. So now he takes it all out on these women and men, believe it or not. So yeah.
Women like sex.
Okay.
They like it more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a video for another day.
It
is.
A
lot of the stuff men have been told was wrong. Nice guys finish last. I've been a nice guy. Every time I was a nice guy, I finished beyond last. I never even finished. When I was just a guy who just said, forget it, I'm going to just be this, I'm going to just be a jerk, a cocky, intelligent, arrogant, or when I was a C.I.A., the most success I've ever had with women.
Nice guys finish last. Well, the last will be first and the first will be last.
And that has been consistent from teenage to now. Right now, so I've had people ask me, where are your women at? Where are your women at? I got more than I can shake a stick at, but can't none of them hold me because I am busy doing this and I'm busy with my business. They love that.
Okay, so like I said, they do not love a man that's cocky, a man that's arrogant, the man that's not present, the man that's not investing time, quality time, a man that that is not putting them priority. A woman does not want to be a selection or an option. You know, that is not what they like. Again, that's what they have grown accustomed to. That's what they have accepted, settled for. And again, these women are not the women of who values themselves, or they're not women who really want to settle down and really get into something long term and serious. If it's that type of woman who's really playing the game you're playing, then you expect the same thing. They're okay with that. Well, they for the streets too. So okay, that's a whole another issue that's not in this conversation. But for those women who is probably trying to have something with Kevin Samuels when he recorded this or was speaking in this event, they don't like that. They're either playing the game with you, on you, or along with you, or they're wounded and unwhole and not whole themselves to settle for being a selection, an option to be talked down to chase after a man and not have a man pursue them. I won't say chase, but pursue them. That is a woman that has developed, does not know herself or her worth. Okay, so that's a specific type of woman, and these are the women that you're hand selecting when you present who you are and what you have to offer. And these women then either oblige or they dismiss themselves. So this is not all women. You're forgetting to tell them that this is not all women. These are selected women that have agreed to your way of doing things. There are many women that do. Again, some could be for the streets, and then some hoping that you'll turn around and see the light. But that's from a broken place. So you select broken women, and you select women that's for the streets like yourself. So women who are calling them, if you're broken, this is not the man to talk to, because he's for the streets. If women who are for the streets, then no wonder y'all not calling in, because y'all know the game too. But I think it's the broken women that are calling in.
So, how do you do it? First off, you got to understand something. You got to undo your programming. You got to undo your programming, guys, because we've been programmed to think, hold the door open for women, be chivalrous. Women don't want all that.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. Now, look, this is the beginning part of where he now began to masculize a woman and defeminize the woman. This right here is him training men how to defeminize women. But at the same time, he talks to women saying we're too masculine. However, you're taking the different conducts that produce femininity away from the woman by the way you're treating them and way you're not treating them. Okay, look at this here. So he's right now saying, do not be chivalrous. Do not open the door, roll out the seat. You know, whatever those chivalrous things are, women don't want that. That's a lie. That's a false narrative. That is a bold-faced lie. You don't want to do it because you don't want to value women. That he is speaking out of his hurt and pain right there. And he's saying that because they didn't want the nice guy. Because that's what he chose. He chose a lady from the streets. A young lady from the streets. And that's why every person, every woman, and the women that he speaks about from that time on will only be a specific select women. That's who he's talking about. He's not talking about all women. He's talking about this woman that painted the picture for him for all women in his life, or how he wants to see them because of his trauma.
Number two.
You
can't take advice from married people.
Listen.
Married people are living a completely different life.
Look, let me tell you this, what's about married people. This statement is so not thought out because married people had to be single first. And the reason why, that's why I say you guys are listening to the wrong person. If you want a dude from the streets, then you'll get a girl from the streets that's not looking for a long-term relationship, for marriage. All right? Because married people have been single first and been single so successfully that they have gotten to the point of marriage. And I'm talking about, successful marriages or marriages that are pressing through. Okay? So it is vital to be able to speak to those who have been married successfully, who's been through some things, who's experienced some things, been up and down, to be able to be successful in their singleness so that the Lord will bless them to marriage. He's contradictive as well, because there is where he speaks to a woman and he says that she has to be a wife first. And he brings out the Proverb 31 woman where what she is as a wife, who she is as a wife. And and I hope I can find that video for you guys, that clip, that she has to be a wife first.
No, I'm just asking.
I do believe in God. Yeah, I've been baptized in a Christian church.
He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor with the Lord. The presupposition is she was a wife when she was found. A man must be qualified to be husband, but a woman must already be wife. Ruth, Boaz, you've heard of Boaz, right? He happed up on Ruth. Ruth was already prepared for Boaz to find.
But if you're not looking for a man that's for the streets, then he's the wrong one. He's pushing a narrative.
That don't mean that they're bad. They're living a completely different life.
They're not living a completely different life. You're developing your way of living as single. Okay? As single to become married. All right? So, like I said, they're not living the only difference, because you still want to live in that integrity. You still want to be in faithfulness. You still want to, be 100 as single, whole as single. The only difference when you get married is that you have a contractual agreement in the world with the Lord, that you guys are a union as one and you forsake all others. And that's what you even do as you're engaged. You make a commitment. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully you're practicing that prior to the marriage, because that elevates you to marriage. So there's not much of a difference at all, other than that legal contractual agreement, that commitment through death do us part, sick, and all kinds of things, okay? And that they should have been practicing in their singlehood, in their dating. So, yes, it's very much so that we're able to glean from successful married couples. It's very relevant for singles, because they've been single once before. And obviously their singleness, how they handle themselves single in their single life, got them to where they are as married. And that's what we need to see. That's what we need to know. Kevin Samuels is not married. He's divorced twice. But, you can give your input, but you can't disqualify married couples who've been single successfully, that elevated them to marriage. Hands down.
Single people and married people have different motivations, different everything else. A married man is going to tell you different things because he has a wife. Women are the same. Women are the same. If you don't think, here's the thing, a lot of this stuff, even listening to it, some guys are thinking, man, that sounds harsh or rude or sexist. That's what we've been programmed. That's what we've been taught. We've been told that a man, being assertive, saying, approaching a woman, being straight up direct, is a callous, arrogant thing to do.
Well, what are you being direct with? So we like directness. Thank goodness. If you can be direct and say, hey, I'm a Hoven from the jump skate, thank you for telling me. Now, if I want that, then I'm that type of woman. Okay, if I don't want that, then I'm gone. If I don't want that and trying to change because of change you or think I'm going to change you, I got issues that I need to deal with. But those are the two women that will oblige to that. Women who are for the streets too, going to run the same game, going to do their own thing. And then you have ones that just are broken and will settle, thinking that maybe you will come around based on how they treat you. And then they get their hearts broken. Okay, so those are the only two women, that types of women that would agree to something like that or go, with something like that.
To do. Well, guess what? I got more women that way than trying to be their friend. Anything else. When I would just walk up to a chick and say, look, I'm trying to go home with you tonight. What's up? After they get over the initial shock that somebody said that to them, you know what ended up happening? I went home with him that night.
Who are you looking
Put
at,
it
Kevin?
down on her like she never had to put down on it before. Guess what?
What is up there?
I didn't take her number. I gave her mine.
All right. This is the second place where I'm showing you guys where he just flipped the gender roles. This is disgusting. He just put himself in a feminine position. There is no way that a woman should be pursuing a man. That is out of order. All this women kneeling down to propose to men. You know what you're saying? You're asking them to take your last name. Okay, you're asking them, you're telling them that you're going to protect them, that you're going to provide for them and your whole family. You're telling them that you're going to put the weight of the world on your shoulder. That's not your position. That is not your position. You're not even built to do those type of things or even have a mind state to do that. That is completely out of order. But look what Kevin Samuel just did. He just relinquished his masculinity and reverse the roles to have the woman, this is out of his hurt, pain, rejection, and his trauma, reverse the roles where he have the woman chasing or pursuing him rather than him pursuing the woman. Now, I'm not saying chasing. He's speaking out of his hurt, his pain, because of the type of women that he's dealing with. Okay, but he just feminized himself. And he just placed the woman in the masculine position. But yet today he's saying that women are taking the masculine role. They're being too masculine and getting these degrees and working in this way and just having these careers. But at the same time, you just put a woman, by not opening her door, by not acting politely in these different ways to that makes a woman feel like a woman and conduct themselves as a woman. And then here you have a woman pursuing you. Okay, so you're putting yourself in the this is what I'm talking about. You just placed yourself as the woman. You just positioned yourself as a feminine, the feminine in the relationship. And you position the woman to be the masculine in the relationship. So you tell me how masculine you are by doing that. This is crazy. I can't believe that those two things just came out of his mouth, talking about he's masculine. We need to reprogram. That is untrue. And you want to talk about the different animal kingdoms. Well, we're in the animal kingdom, if you want to bring animals in it, which we're completely different than that because of our intelligence and then our ability to feel the soul that we have. As human beings, we're in a completely different category. But what animal pursues, what male animal pursues the female? Come on now. And if you can even find one, it is not the majority, because I haven't found any. You just put yourself in a feminine position and you position the woman in the masculine position. You only want feminine things when it fits your agenda or what you want. But it's not across the board. And that's why what's wrong with it is because you're dealing with pain and your trauma. So what you're communicating is out of that. It's distorted. It's warped. Yes, we want assertive, confident men who know what they want. But at the same time, you're also bringing your tainted view and your tainted mentality and heartbrokenness to this, and you're warping the whole way of a man and a woman and how they ought to interact and conduct themselves with each other. You've just flipped the script. This is error.
Because I ain't going to call you and chase you. All this stuff is probably counter to your programming. They called you. They want you. Guys, we have to sit back and learn to reassert our manhood. And this is not a bad thing. This is actually a good thing. Let me just get to the personal aspects of it. When guys are acting like men, my grades were better. I was performing better at work. My relationships are better. Testosterone was up because even your sense of manhood is fulfilled. When we are the nice guy, simpish, acting, weak beta males, no man feels good being that way. That's why
I think he's absolutely right here. He is so right about that. You can see where what went wrong with him because of the lack of male influence and the disproportionate amount of influence from the female, from the feminine, which is his mom and his two aunties. Okay, so he had that disproportion. But if he had men in his life that were stand-up type of guys with integrity, good example, then he could be that assertive, confident, knowing what he wants type of man without the arrogance. And he can see that example of being the way that he's admiring, that he wish, he would have learned initially. Okay, you can be assertive, confident, knowing what you want type of man and get the women you want with that, because yes, that is what we want. Okay, but you can do that without the cockiness, arrogance, the abuse. All right, you can do that. But you just need someone to exemplify that in your life. And that he did not have, because he had the papa that was the Rolling Stone. He had the uncle that was the Mac Daddy. And, the grandfather, he just wasn't there. He was on the road. You know what I'm saying? So, and he was a deacon. That shows you right there that his evaluation does not have all it has holes. It's missing pieces. So his end result is an error. It's inaccurate.
That's why I say you can't listen to married men, because a lot of married men are been beta male. They don't want to hear it. But if you live by the term happy wife, happy life, like I did, I was a beta male in a marriage, because that's what I was told.
Wait, hold on, because when you were interviewed with DJ Flad, you had the opportunity, because he asked what was the divorce for. Now, of course, you said that you did not want to go into that personal aspect of your life on TV. All right, that's interesting, because when you ask these women why they divorced, you let them say something like that, you'll go completely berserk if they would give that type of response. You still, to this day, have not let us know, and that's a red flag when a man cannot and will not express to you what went wrong in that marriage, okay, or in their relationship, or if it's all the woman's fault, okay, then that's a red flag. So he's not explaining to us, well, what happened? You saying that you were a simp, that you were a beta. Well, what happened? One thing that you did mention was somewhere in a video is that, I think it was with Tasha K, that you were emotionally, unfaithful, because you're a flirt. All right. So that's one thing that you let us in on. All right. So now when you say that you tried to simp and beta, well, what does that look like? What is that really? You can't just tell us this and you're not telling us what that looked like. And be honest with what you're saying. Well, what did that look like? How are you, babe? How are you doing all this? You were married twice. All right. So in both of those situations, you were giving your all. You are honestly stand-up type of guy, not unfaithful physically, emotionally, mentally. Well, what is it? I mean, because at the very beginning, you already told us where you're coming from and the mindset you had with women. So it's very hard for me to think that you just upped and changed after so many years of conducting yourself and this way, in this C.I.A. way, and none of it peep out in your marriages, and you became, you know, this confident, assertive, respectable guy, pulling out chairs and doing all this stuff, and your wife does not appreciate that, does not cherish that at all. So, yeah, you need to open up a little bit more as it relates to that, as you being married.
To be. And guess what? I ended up getting divorced because we had a 75% of divorces are found by women. We've already went down the stats. Women don't want these things. So, what I will do is I'm going to open it up for a few questions. Bottom line is this, guys. Women want guys who are confident.
So tell us what your wife wanted. Okay? So you're saying you weren't confident, you weren't assertive, and you didn't know what you want when you went into that marriage? Or you were confident, assertive, you knew what you want, but you were cocky, arrogant, disrespectful, and everything else in that marriage. So you tell me, because you already actually told us what your position was. Well, then that's why. Like I said, women do not want the cockiness and arrogance and the degrading and not being priority and emotional unfaithfulness and all of this stuff and being an option. Okay, but we'll take the assertive, confident, and knowing what they want. We'll support that wholeheartedly. We'll help flourish you in all things as we are able to, you know, with that. But if you're adding that cockiness and arrogance and degrading and they're an option even as a wife of being faithful, well, yeah, you're going to have problems 2 times over.
Women want guys who are self-assured. Women want guys borderline arrogant. I'm saying borderline, but they really do. They want arrogance. They want you to be cocky.
But when it involves looking down on people and thinking so high of yourself that you don't have room for other people and God and Christ, there's a problem. Actually, arrogance, there's no room for that when you're dealing with Christ, because there is only one that is perfect. There's no one greater than him. So now that's speaking as a believer. When you're speaking as someone in the world, I don't mind someone who's very secure in themselves. And I don't think women, that equates to security. If a man is secure within himself, that means that security will spill over in the relationship and in the security in all aspects of their relationship in their union. All, okay? So that's very, very important, okay? And just knowing who you are, what you want, how to get there, and moving forward in that. So there's nothing wrong with that. But arrogance, you're saying a little arrogant. You know, again, it's really, you know, again, if someone's very, very secure in themselves, that's fine. But there is a line to be drawn when you begin to look down on other people or thinking yourself so great that there's no room for improvement. So that becomes unhealthy.
I would rather you come up and say, I'm trying to get them draws. And you worry about, I'm not going to say that. A woman slapped me in the face. When was the last time you ever seen a woman slap somebody in the face? She ain't going to slap you in the face. She probably going to start getting moist. That's the point. You know, one time when I was in college, I let a bunch of sorority girls use my condo. And they had a sleepover. 40 sorority girls.
You guys, I just want to remind you guys, I know that you can speak explicitly. I'm going to try to edit out some of these things that might be too much. But But I just want you guys to really see where he's coming from, what position mentally and emotionally that he's sharing with us today. All of this content, it's coming out of a broken place, a distorted place, a warped place. So I want you guys to be able to see that so that you can make a better decision in selecting to call him, because you're calling someone who is broken, who is so broken, and so they're feeding you brokenness, and it's not going to do any better. And that's why I'm suggesting someone on the flip side of that, which is Tony Gaskins, because he addresses these same things, but in a place of whole, a man of God and someone who's healed from a lot of things in his life. So I also encourage you guys, women and men, but women in this particular case, considering we're the ones that are calling calling Kevin right now. At least that's who he's having these lives with, right now. That God is number one, okay, and God will lead you. A relationship with Jesus Christ, I'm always going to say that is the first step to wholeness, the first step to, the Bible says, to wisdom, to knowledge, to understanding Jesus Christ. And he'll continue to guide you from there. He'll give you practical ways and practical means to learn and to understand, to grow and to develop and to flourish. So moving on.
Girls from 3 different schools came over and used my condo. I was upstairs in my bedroom for a night. They had it for the entire. I heard those women talking about men, and it was the first time since I was around my mom and her sisters, and I heard women talking about men. Women are far dirtier than we ever want to. We want to imagine them as these sweet, pure, innocent little creatures. Women are dirty, nasty, filthy. They like it raw. They was talking about sizes, shapes, colors, textures, taste. They get popcorn. This movie 50 Shades of Grey. Why is it so popular? A woman wants a man to take control and dominate. Yes. It was a complete twist for me. The first time a pretty girl approached me, I ran away. The prettiest girl transferred to our school. All the dudes trying to get her. I'm an attractive guy. She wanted me. I was younger, a year younger. I didn't know what to do around a pretty girl. She came and sat by me. I was so intimidated. I saw all other guys mad. I ran away. That was before the whole simp story. But guess what? As I really learned how to be a guy and what women wanted and how to be and how to stand on my own and do what I needed to do, even at that young age, life became so much better. Here's what ends up happening. When a guy goes like that and self-actualizes, society does what it's going to do to basically get you back to say, oh, don't do that. Go back to being the nice guy. Because nice guys, they can control. Nice guys, we can go ahead and get you to get married and have a white picket fence and producing all the resources and all.
No, we do want our men to be assertive, to know what they want, to be confident. Again, those roles have changed over the years, since we've, been here in America. Those roles have been turned, reversed, and that's what us men and women have grown accustomed to. So again, I'm not pointing the finger at one or the other. We are both participating in this unfortunate ordeal. However, we do have to see where it originated so that we can fix it. And it's not on one particular gender in our community, the Black community. It's for both to recognize this and both of us to be able to make the necessary adjustments to become whole and to understand, to see, to gain that knowledge and to make those necessary corrections and adjustments in our lives so that we can move forward healthy and we can thrive.
And all other kind of stuff. And, that's a whole thing for another time. So, I get guys all the time asking me, how to be more self-assured. A lot of the questions come down to guys really not being sure of themselves. A lot of men just aren't sure of themselves because most of us have had the male ego beat out of us, or educated out of us, or tamped down to where we question ourselves and doubt ourselves. Mm-hmm. To where if you like a woman or a young lady, you're made to feel intimidated or for some reason unsure. Like, I'm going to a dance, what should I do? Or what should I say? How do I get them to like me? The odds are in your favor, even as a young guy. A woman is at her peak of hotness when she's in her teens. A woman peaks at 25. So they got from 14 to 25. And from 14 to 25, we're at the inverse. So it's an inversely proportional relationship. But when I started walking around thinking and believing that I was the man, that you were lucky that I'm spending time with you, you lucky that I chose you to even talk to, I had more women than I knew what to do with. Now, now here's the thing. Some guys may think that's not anything to strive for. It's not so much as something to strive for, it's something that as a guy you need to know about yourself. Because I've said it before, man,
he walks around with the mentality and the disposition that you are lucky that I'm even talking to you, giving you time of day in my space. So women, is that the type of man that you really want? Is that the type of man that you really want? I find it very, 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 very hard to see a woman, even a woman who is struggling and broken, if he were to plainly out say that they would oblige to his wishes. Now, if he curves what he says to kind of say that, but not fully saying it, then okay, I can see where he's getting away with that. But that's where we as women need to take those red flags, because those are definitely red flags you will see with the type of conduct that he's portraying. That's not the type of man, unless that is the type of man that you're wanting or you'll tolerate for whatever reasons. All right.
Manhood is under general assault. It's under general assault, and men acting like men doing men's things is really frowned upon. So if you're a young guy, if you're a young guy, if you're not married, if you're a young guy in your teens, if you're in your early 20s, especially if you've never been married, understand something. You are the prize. You are the prize, especially right now. If you're in a relationship, and unless you can 100% say you are the man in that relationship, and your girlfriend, wife, significant other, whatever, is really supporting you, it's hard to feel completely like a man should feel. The issue is
well, you're not going to feel the way a man should feel if the woman is pursuing you and conducting themselves in a masculine way at all. It is very hard to have a woman to try to support, and maybe this is your challenge, to support you as a man when their position is masculine and that you position them to be masculine. So if you're positioning them to be masculine and you're wanting them to support you, but you're putting them in a masculine position to be head, to pursue you and everything, then why wouldn't they have their own agenda to support themselves and expect you to support them? to support their dreams or to support whatever their endeavors are. I mean, come on. I mean, this is just ridiculous. If you're the prize, then you as the prize need to support the one who pursued you in the game, who's got their gain. Now that she's pursued you and she done all that she could, now it's time for you to support her, because she showed you that she's the one. You know, this is just ridiculous. This is all, you guys don't see this? You don't see it?
Most guys have never felt that. So we don't even understand it. So, you know, when you hear guys saying some of the things I say, just right now, some guys is going to scratch like a raw nerve, like, oh, that's chauvinist. That's old school. That, you know, that sounds like a caveman. Let me tell you something. There's a reason there's so many pickup artists and all these other kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to teach you any pickup artist tricks. You notice I haven't used one technique or anything like that. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying simply this. Women like cocky, assertive. Women like men who are confident, intelligent, assertive, know what they want, not afraid to go get it. Tell a woman what you want up front. If you working in McDonald's...
Okay, see? Hey, nothing wrong with that. But then when you add the cockiness and arrogance and the disrespect and the belittling, and you chase me and I'm not opening up your door, and so you're an option, that paints a whole nother picture. So yeah, exactly what you just said is what we want, minus those negative things that degrade women. And you will eat the fruit of the land if you were to exemplify and conduct yourself secure, confident, know what you want, and able to articulate that in your relationship. Absolutely. Respectably.
McDonald's, just tell her you ain't got to lie. Tell her you working. But ain't no man... See, we've been taught that women want men. In order to get a woman, you got to have all this stuff. That ain't how it works. That's how they want us to work it, because they keeps us buying stuff. Women
that's not
want
true.
men. Women like sex.
Now, on a lot of his videos, he mentioned that women want, this high-valued man. That's not what they're saying when they call in. That is, when you listen, because I've listened to a lot of his videos to really get an understanding. I didn't want to be biased, and I definitely didn't want to misunderstand him. And also, I want to make sure that what I'm putting out about, the descriptions of narcissists, that I come from a place of, enough information that could support this video. So when these women call in, they're not calling necessarily to have a high valued man. Not at all. However, you're putting that narrative and you're directing and manipulating those conversations to make it appear that way. That is not what they're saying. If you listen to those videos, what Kevin Samuels is displaying and what he lives is different than what these women are wanting and calling in for. However, Kevin Samuels is trying to put them in that box of what he's living, his mentality, and his way of doing things. And that's where it is corrupt. And that's why I'm saying you're in the ladies that are calling in are in the wrong lane. And shame on you, Kevin Samuels, for trying to manipulate these women to call in, to manipulate the conversation and the narrative to fit them in your box when that's not what they're calling about. And changing those conversations and trying to gear them around to your narrative. And like I said, he gives the rope to the women to do this, and this is a fault of the women as well, because Kevin exploits that opportunity, those opportunities, when the women are calling in, and he selects these type of women, as you see, hand selects them. So he manipulates what we see. and what we hear in those conversations. All right. So you guys just have to really beware of what be mindful of what you're asking for, what you're needing answers to, and make sure that you are reaching out to the right person. You can even go to therapy. You know, you can go to if you have to go on YouTube, find someone who, you know, research them well and find someone who is qualified and effective in their skill set. This is a skill set for men and women that are for the streets. And if that's what you're looking for, then all right, you're calling into the right place. But according to what we're looking at out here in the world, there's a lot of arguments and too many arguments and discrepancies with Kevin Samuels, because you're looking for the women are looking for marriage material and a marriage minded or a healthy minded advisor, when that's not what Kevin Samuels is. And then you're arguing with him when has a specific agenda and he's speaking a specific way. So what are you trying to change? You know, you can't change that because he's for the streets and he's speaking for women for the streets. So get off his phone. You know, because it just doesn't make sense. That's not what he's there for, and that's not what you're there for. So it is a mismatch.
Are you any good in bed? Most guys aren't. If you've never studied, if you've never heard of the book Kama Sutra, you need to get it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right here, I want us to duly note he is explaining right now how to create a sexual soul tie, as we've heard previously, how his sexual abilities have been very effective in getting women to conduct themselves in the manner he would like. Okay, so this is very common in narcissistic abuse, where narcissists will use their sexual ability to create that soul tie, not only with narcissist abuse, but all types of abuse and relationships. This is how soul ties are created, and this is the purpose, to manipulate men and women to do the things that they desire them to do by that sexual soul tie. And he's writing it out so plainly here. He's explaining to men how to train themselves to control, to be to utilize witchcraft, because that's what it is. Whether he recognizes it or not, it is witchcraft. And that is what he's talking about right here. So do not be fooled, and definitely take heed to this kind of tactic.
Men need to learn about sex, because women learn about it. You know, and knowing how to pleasure a woman is part of being a man. I think it's a significant part of being a man. Where the clitoris is, if you don't know what a G-spot is, if you don't know how to make a woman reach to the point of orgasm, you need to learn. Men, but we don't talk about this kind of stuff, because it can seem, you know, outside of this little space right here, it can seem, you know, like, you know, and think about it right now. If there were women around here, if I was out at Starbucks, how many people would be looking at me like I'm crossways, like, what is he talking about? Ooh, that's disgusting. Young man, understand, it is not disgusting. Women enjoy sex. Women want sex. A woman wants sex with you, especially sexually liberated and having a choice, so you better learn how to do it. Take precautions, protect yourself, don't go out and make a bunch of babies. But you will do far better with women if you just approach them and tell them what you want. And then let her decide whether or not she wants you. Now, here's the thing. If that woman don't want to be bothered with you, fine. You may not be her type. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a preference. Mm-hmm. But that's the point. You may not be her type. Let it go. Mm-hmm. But sooner or later, you're going to get to somebody who's like, okay, I'm cool, I'm down with that. Is that a bad thing? No, it's just a thing.
Right.
Let me go ahead and see what kind of questions we got. Don't be nice to these. Yeah, you see, you can't be nice. Well, here's the thing: you can be nice, but you want to be nice. Nice guys finish last. You want to be nice. Why? Anybody that says I'm gonna be nice or be friends or whatever, I'm gonna ask you why. Why do you have to be nice to get with a woman? If your ultimate goal is to are you trying to get with that woman to have sex? Are you trying to get with that woman to make your girlfriend or your wife? This is bull crap that women want to marry their best friend. Women want to marry a man that they're sexually attracted to.
That's true.
Women, see, and here's the thing, women can want men for different reasons. She may want to be with you because you're her best friend, but she gonna have somebody on the side that can make her orgasm. You better be the man.
Like I said, Kevin Samuels is speaking to a specific audience, and the audience that is calling in, or at least the audience that Kevin Samuels is selecting to speak to, they're not geared towards what he's talking about. You guys are in two different lanes. All right, so just keep that in mind.
The man that learns how to do that. And that is hard for a lot of guys to hear because we have never been told to assert ourselves. More, we've been told anything else to not assert ourselves. Sex is not a physical act. It's a mental act at first.
And so I think he has a point saying men are not taught to assert themselves, and I do think that is definitely the result of the lack of men in the stand-up men of integrity, men of morals, men that are good examples to their children today. They're not taught what that assertiveness is, or there's a lack of it. And again, that's not because of the woman's position. The woman is built mentally and emotionally to nurture and to deal with the girls and the boys and girls, their children, as a woman, not as a man. And again, I'm not pointing a finger, but the lack of the father. And I go back to when we were first brought here. Our people were first brought here, and how they broke the family down, they tore it apart so that there would be this kind of dysfunction. All right. And we will operate this, switch the genders, have us against each other. And we don't know how to get back. We're fighting amongst ourselves. Kevin is dealing with this with black women, and so angry and just, placing the blame on black women. There's other people that place the blame on black men. Now, I do believe that the men is the leader in the home. And if there's going to be a shift, it does have to start with the man. But I do believe that men and women have succumbed to this agenda, this role, this deformed family, this deformed way of living for us, in the world today. And we're not seeing that it's to divide. It is to conquer, and it's to keep the America going, and have the black people in this disposition, not able to establish ourselves and strengthen ourselves. And the strength is in the multitude of numbers. Therefore, family, it's important that we come together as family, bring our women and men back together. Okay, understanding each other again, understanding what happened, where it really went wrong. Forgive each other. Okay, because even men back then, when they were emasculated by by white men, they in front of black women, we can't sit there and say, like, you didn't help us. Yeah, and many times men did help, our black men did help us, and it was at the cost of their own lives, and what would we do in that kind of position as far as being a man? I mean, I can imagine what men had to go through seeing, their wives and children being raped and themselves being humiliated in front of their own children and wives, and can't do anything about it. I can't even imagine that type of mental pain and agony and just what they went through, so and then the women having to take upon the role that they have taken. I mean, these things are unspeakable. So but if we can just identify and see where it all came from, we can pardon each other, and then we can move forward to beginning to heal with one another, to establish and create healthy, strong families again, staying together, not pointing the finger, but seeing where the root of it originated, recognizing that, identifying that, now rebuilding, healing, rebuilding, reestablishing with dignity, love, and strength, and so that we can redeem ourselves here even in America. Like I'd always say, we can do that here, even in America, but it takes us to become one, because we've been divided, and this is the devices of the enemy, and that's just Satan, even in America, it's Satan, even dividing black and white people, that's the enemy. He divides and he conquers. So his idea was to divide. And that's what he, set out to do for America when it came to African Americans and the Caucasian people, white people. So that's the tactic of the enemy, Satan. Yes. All right, moving forward.
Since we're talking about it, do you know how to talk dirty to a woman? Do you know how to?
Goodness.
Sex for a woman happens in her mind.
Because we've already.
If you want to if you see a woman and you want to go talk to her, or get with that woman, you cannot go approach that woman like every other Tom, Dick, and Harry is approaching her, like with every other simp story. Hey, how you doing? My name is this. Hey, how you doing? My name is this. Can I buy you a drink? Can I do this? Can I do that? Want, 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 want. Then a guy like me walks up and says, "You standing in my spot." What? This is only for the fly people. Why are you here? What'd you just say? You heard me move. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, you're on my spot. Who you think's gonna leave with who? Now, both ways are ways to talk to women. Hi, how you doing? My name is Tom.
Okay, I like how he gave us a little insight on the approach that he used, because he said that he was cocky and arrogant. And yes, that first little monologue he gave, that definitely was cocky and arrogant. And he switched it around and said, "Oh, I'm just kidding." Okay, so he watered it down, kind of covered it up a little bit, because he knew just saying that straight out, that's not going to get what you want at the same time, However, just keep an eye out on that. That's a red flag, when people even talk to you and just say, I'm just kidding, this is only for the fly people, move. Like I was saying earlier, that either I can't see a woman, if he were to directly speak down to them, that they would just stick around for that. And he just explained, yes, he starts off that way, but then he watered it down a little bit, curved it a little bit to make it more, make him a little bit more inviting than he could if he would have just kept that conversation as it was. Okay. Okay, so let's move forward.
You come here often? Are you here with your friends? Such and so forth. They're being interrogated. She ain't interested in you. If a woman wants, the only way to get a woman to be, If you want to hook up with a woman or get with a woman, she has to be sexually attracted to you first. That is the God's honest truth. So I'm going to start making more videos about this kind of stuff for guys.
I think he means physically attracted. I mean, I guess they can go hand in hand, though.
Guys, you know, YouTube is doing some crazy things, banning content. And there's just some stuff that men need to be told. And damn it, no one told me. And I had to learn on my own. And I'm going to tell you, women love this stuff. Can't get enough of it. Let me give you a story.
Go ahead.
Oh, dang, somebody just busted up on Super Chat. Those stylers like, hold on. Let me just see. I got a couple of Super Chat. Have you ever got a number because of the clothes or the fragrance you're wearing? Stylers like, yes. It has been, yes. The short answer is yes. I use everything to my advantage. I come in looking fly, smelling good because I know I'm walking in there like, I'm confident. I'm confident because I know what I have to offer. I walk in feeling like the man, so I act accordingly.
You guys, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing being confident, knowing what you offer. That's a very good thing, and it's very attractive. And yes, fragrances, oh my gosh, that definitely is very compelling as far as attraction for men and women.
Accordingly. Yeah, a woman wants a man looking good and smelling good. And then if you walk up and approach the right way, you darn sure gonna get that number. But here's the thing. I told you I don't get that number. I give them mine. And I tell them when to call me.
Tell them when to call them. All right.
And if they don't call me when they should,
okay,
and they decide to call me when they get to it, I'll pick up the phone and say, you were supposed to call me at 2. You need to call me back. And hang up.
Oh, don't tell me that they call you back. If you call this man back.
If they don't call back, I don't want to deal with them. But guess what happened? They call back. Not only is she going to call back, she going to call back anticipating. Because she's going to be like, ooh, this joker just...
Okay, you see how the roles have reversed? First of all, she shouldn't even be calling him. She shouldn't even took his number. Unless she gave him hers. Okay? There is an even exchange. You don't just give me your number and expect me to know. That's inappropriate. This is what I'm talking about. This is the woman chasing after. That is insane. Come on. Do you not see how feminine he's acting? Now, this is what I'm saying is that this is where he's taking feminine positions. This is no way for a man to act. It's so disgusting for a man to do that. You know, to a woman. And it's even equally disgusting for a woman to sit and do that and put themselves in the position of a man. You have reversed the role. You are acting as a woman. You are acting as a woman. So don't be mad when a woman take their a masculine position.
Just put me in my place. I got me a real one right there. Twisted. I know it's not what we were taught, but that's the truth.
That's not the truth.
Are you ready to be heard? Learn music production online at the Los Angeles Recording School, a division of the Los Angeles Film School.
Sorry for that commercial. I
had a fraternity brother in college. He's passed on.
Listen to this.
He was from Compton. He and I were 180-degree opposite. You know, in personality and everything else. I mean, honestly, we almost could have killed each other if we wasn't in a frat together. One semester we had to room together in a condo.
Okay.
Now imagine rooming with somebody you don't like. I mean, on a personal level. You always thought that pretty mother, and I always thought this old ghetto mama. You know, because that's what he tried to do. Compton was the big thing. But here's the thing. He used to get plenty of action, and I used to get plenty of action. Okay. We used to have to sit down at the table and say, all right, man, here are the chicks I'm messing with. Here are the chicks you messing with. We got to overlay our schedules to make sure our chicks don't run into each other's chicks. Because if you messing with this chick, I'm messing with this chick, yeah, but she's friends with this chick. So if my chick is here, She may see this girl and go back and tell this girl, so they mess up your action. So we scheduling our women, right?
Okay.
Okay. So we scheduling our women. That means you got to come on the schedule. So I got one girl leaving. She drove all the way from 30 miles in from another school to Norman in ice and snow to get some of this. But she got to go when she got to go. She knows I'm kicking it with another chick, and I let them all know I'm on the schedule. You got to go. One girl was leaving, coming down the stairs in the condo. The other...
Look, this is who you're selecting to get advice from, and this man has not changed his position. This man, Kevin Samuels, has not changed his position or thought pattern or of what he's talking about here. He has not expressed that he's changed how he handle women since this video in 2017. This is where your advice is going to be stemming from. So if you fit in there, then you should be making those phone calls. If you fit in there, you should not be objecting to anything that he says. But if you're objecting to what he says, then maybe you don't fit in the box and he's the wrong one that you're calling for advice.
I hope you guys really got something from this commentary and from what you heard. Again, I do thank you guys for sticking in to the end. I don't think I'm gonna, because I think it's about 10 minutes that I didn't get, but because of my recording and you know, I'm not so tech savvy, I just went ahead and cut that part out. But I think that this gives you a really good, clear understanding of what this looks like, or the behavior, the mindset, the mentality, and things like that really opens up this situation. If you're dealing with this type of persona, hopefully that commentary helps give you some direction on which way to go about it. Hopefully a reflection of hopefully you'll be able to reflect on to see where you fit in, you know, in that situation. I want you guys to be blessed, be whole, and I look forward to seeing you guys later on this week. Bye, till next time. See you later. Sorry about the firecrackers. It is 4th of July and they're getting it in.